Hello everyone, and welcome to the 5th episode of the Little Thespian Podcast. On today's episode, we talk to Erin Yardley Jones. All things musicals, all things dance. It's going to be a great time. So, let's hop into it. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 5th episode of the Little Thespian Podcast. On today's episode, we have Erin Yardley Jones.
Hello!
Hi, how are you? You're good?
I am wonderful today. How are you, Matthew?
I'm good. It's been a long time. It's been a while.
I know. It's been so long. I don't know, since December, maybe?
Yeah, that seems, yeah. The last time we talked too, unfortunately, was right before our stuff got canceled.
I know. It's so sad.
It is.
Very sad.
But it's okay. We're going to talk about musicals. We're going to talk about dance today.
Oh, perfect.
We're going to talk about the good stuff about that.
That's
I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
Me too. Oh my God, Matthew, I just want to say first, I'm so excited to be here. And second, I'm just so proud of you for taking initiative and creating something like this. I know everyone else has said this, but I'm just so truly proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
I really like this show, and it's awesome to see something like this in such a sad and kind of depressing time. It's good for you, Matthew.
Thank you. And I'm glad to have you on. It's great to have you on about stuff that I love and I know you really love.
Absolutely.
Let's just hop into it then.
Awesome.
There's two questions that I need to start off with because it's from Mike, and I wanted to just start off with those just to get us into good mood.
Okay.
He asked, what's your most memorable theater moment?
Ooh, okay.
Good question, I know.
Okay, let me think about this one. Memorable theater moment. I mean, I have a couple. There's definitely plenty of memorable ones. The one that is coming to mind for some reason was in Dr. Faustus, the show we did together, and it's a funny one. I think it's memorable because it's so funny to me. But it was our last show right before intermission, and it has to do with a head of lettuce.
Yep.
So basically, if you'd like me to tell the story.
Go right ahead.
So in Dr. Faustus, it's right before we go to intermission, and we're supposed to be kind of, all the sins are dragging Faustus, not to hell, but they're dragging him out with pleasure and such. And Ben, who was playing Gluttony, was supposed to eat a head of lettuce and throw it long time before we were carrying Faustus, and he ended up eating this head of lettuce and throwing it back into the audience, blindly not looking behind his back. And I'm staring out into the audience. I'm doing my power stance, it's almost intermission. I'm ready to go. And sitting in the front row was my full family. I'm really excited to see the show. And the head of lettuce just hits my visually impaired mother in the face. And everyone on stage, in the audience, everyone, including myself, was laughing. I think that's the one time I really broke on stage, and I could not. That's my memorable theater moment. It's not like super dramatic or anything. It's comedic, and it makes me laugh every single time. And Ben has said sorry to my mom a million times.
I bet. And I was on the opposite side of that. I was next to Ben basically, so I never saw that. I saw the head of lettuce fly.
Oh, so funny.
But yeah. I mean, it's stuff you can't make up, and that's the beauty about theater, right? It's always different.
It was so funny.
Hilarious.
Absolutely.
Hilarious. And then after, once intermission happened,
oh my god,
everyone was just
because Ben didn't know who he hit in the head, and he knows my mom, and he I ran into our changing room, our dressing room. I was like, Ben, you hit my mom in the face with a head of lettuce, and everyone was dying because, oh god, it's such a Ben thing to do.
Eventually, you have Ben on and talk about all sorts of awesome things. The other one that Mike had was, what aspect of theater do you enjoy the most? Because, I mean, you do dance, you do singing, you do most things in theater. So what's your favorite?
Yeah. Oh my god, that's a good question. Go, Mike. Good job, Mike. Let me think about that. Being with our teacher, our third year teacher, or 3 years, sorry, I should say, teacher Andrew Cook, introduced us to all aspects of theater, and I think that was so important with shaping the type of actor I am today. God, I have too many. I remember entering prof and really enjoying musicals, and I still do, but I think I've grown to love kind of either abstract or comedy. I love comedy, and comedy was something I didn't think I could do. Back when I entered the program, I was all serious, dramatic, but comedy is my favorite thing, and I love seeing comedic shows and such. And abstract stuff, I think that's some of my favorite aspects of theater. Stuff that you can't really, there's no linear storyline to it. It's kind of, you look at it kind of like an art piece and you just interpret it. And I love that type of stuff, just kind of being able to create your own stories. And kind of like Decalogue that we were a part of in our third year. That was a special show, and many people who don't experience theater kind of came out of it being like, what did I just watch? And I kind of enjoy that because they always ask what was the point to it? I'm like, what did you think about it? What did you get from that show? And I think that those moments in theater are really cool, and I really respect that type of stuff.
Talk about Decalogue. I remember people coming up to me and asking my interpretation of it and having a full-on 20-minute conversation about what was happening. And that's the type of theater I love too. It's just, it starts conversation, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just one of the many things I've carried from prof is all the shows we see. I mean, we got to review them in theater history class. We saw so many shows around Montreal and so many different ones, which was so cool to see. And being able to all talk about it and what we liked and didn't like and what we took from it and did. And there's if there was a linear storyline, there could be a wrong answer, but the abstract stuff, there's no wrong answers there. And I think that was always really cool to hear everyone's different opinions and what they got from the show. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. To shift gears on something that we both, I love abstract as well. But let's hop into some musicals, why don't we?
Ooh, yeah.
So,
Okay.
how did you get into musicals? Because again, a lot of people are changed, and that's a lot of people just find one show and then, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
what
Well,
was your first musical, and how did you get into it?
the first musical I was in, or the first musical that I watched and like.
Watched and then.
Okay. So this is my story. It's my story of like how I became or wanted to become an actor. So it's kind of cheesy, but I remember I was sitting home when I was like 7 or like 6 years old, and my mom came home from Walmart with a DVD that the casing had a leather jacket on it, and she was like, "Erin, you're a little too young for this, but I want you to watch Grease." And so I was like, okay. And she put on Grease. And when I tell you I was hooked on that musical so much that like it's still my favorite musical to this day. And I remember telling my mom, I was like, Mom, I want to be Danny Zuko. I want to be Danny Zuko. I didn't want to be Sandy. I want to be Danny Zuko, and I wanted to act in musicals and such like that. And from a young age, I had anxiety, and my mom was trying to put me in different you know activities of like dance or pottery or soccer or painting or whatever, and I hated it. I had such bad anxiety, but she put me in theater, and that is where I like really thrived and opened up. And ever since then it was just a constant, I want to be an actor. I want to be in musicals. And throughout Mamma Mia coming out when we were younger and Hairspray coming out, like those DVDs were on repeat. So I definitely owe it to John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John for getting me into some musicals. Yeah.
I guess to go off of that too, there's a lot of people that don't think theater is for them, or
Yeah.
that like they're not inspired to do anything
Mm-hmm.
in regards to the arts. So do you
Yeah.
have any access to every guest? Do you have any words of inspiration for people that might want to get into it? They might be shy, they might be nervous, but I find a lot of people in theater are the ones that were like those people that were very shy, that
Mm-hmm.
were, you know what I mean? So do you have any
Yeah.
words of wisdom
Words of
for words
wisdom.
of wisdom for people?
Okay. I mean, um, first of all, I teach drama to kids, and you kind of get a lot of kids thrown into theater because their parents are like, my child's shy. I want them to, break out of their bubble and just, become a little bit more sociable and outgoing. And I get a lot of kids like that. And I guess my words of wisdom would just be, you just got to try it. You definitely got to try it. And it's really nice to see as a teacher to see like kids who were, nervous and stuff on the first day and like scared, and like our last couple days of camp or our sessions just thriving and going crazy on the stage and having so much fun. Those are the types of stories I really keep close to my heart because I guess I kind of relate to it. But to just try it, I always tell my students, just try. You never know until you try. A lot of them are scared. They're like, no, this is stupid. Like, I don't want to be like weird and stuff, but just try it. You'll have fun. And one thing that I think our teacher, Tracy Lee Campbell, a goddess, told us when we were in first year, she was like, I think theater should be mandatory for not only this program when we were in theater school, but for every single program in college, just to have some sort of theater class because you learn how to feel. That's what, my brother always says, Erin's going to school for feeling. And I carry the stuff I learned in theater school really close to my heart, and it's helped me develop into who I am today and become more emotional. And I think everyone just needs to try theater once, because not necessarily you want to be an actor, but just to break out of your shell and dive into really trying to figure out who you are, as cheesy as that may sound. And that's my wise words, even though it was kind of long.
Oh, I loved it. And to be honest, yeah, it's just trying it, I find.
Yeah,
It's also the
definitely trying it.
I've heard so many people say they feel more alive on the stage.
Yeah,
Like you're
definitely.
anxious until you go out on stage. but then like there's just something that once you get onto a stage, it's just, or a stage in front of a camera, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So many things where it's just, it does something.
Yeah, it really does. You like, for me, it's like a feeling of transformation, you know, like I'm Erin, but like when I go on stage, I'm whoever I'm supposed to be in that moment, in that character. And I feel a full body transformation. Again, as cheesy as that may sound, you just have to try it. It's a sort of like meditation for me, you know?
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And so, um, we've talked about musical a bit. How about we talk about a bit of dance? So you have done dance for a while now.
Yeah.
How many types of dance have you learned?
Okay.
Because I'm very interested in that, because I know I've seen you dance often.
Yes.
And how exactly did you get into that as well?
You know, I as a child did not like it at all. I didn't really like, I only started really going into dance in, well, I would do it in our high school's musicals, obviously. But I started taking my first dance class at Studio 95. I'm going to mention them because they're a great school. I started taking my dance classes there when I was in high school. And I think, oh wait, no, I took them in grade 6. Oh my God, sorry. I started taking musical theater because it was something I enjoyed. And I think I've always kind of stuck to musical theater up until till now. I've been taking musical theater. In high school, I ended up stopping for a bit and going back into it. I ended up taking a contemporary class with a couple of friends, and we did jazz as well, and jazz heels, which is, if you don't know, is jazz and heels, which was really cool. And I'm I like how you point out that, like, you know, like you associate me with dance, and like I love dance, but sometimes, you know, I feel like I'm not, like I see other dancers and I'm like, well, they're good, and I kind of bring myself down. So um I absolutely like was trash at the beginning of dance. I think a lot of people are like that. And it's taken me a while to get comfortable with it and really comfortable and build up that confidence and such. And I teach dance to my theater students as well. And yeah, no, I've taken, I guess, sorry, I'm rambling. I've taken contemporary jazz musical theater. I've dealt like dived into a couple of like ballet classes, though I'm not elegant like that. I don't know, I'm not very you know, pretty ballerina. And I'm dying to take a hip hop class. I just haven't gone around to it. But definitely the style that has stuck with me is musical theater. Definitely.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I also associate it with you with dance, because I remember every time I'd come into the theater every morning, you
Yeah.
dance, and obviously it helps, you know, just to come in and see you be all bubbly. I love it. It was great.
Oh, that makes me happy. I just was like, oh, am I annoying people? I just,
Oh,
you know, dance for me is it's special now. It's grown into something special, and I wish I had like a studio in my home that I could just dance. Unfortunately, I have a little square space to dance in, but the stuff that we would do in professional theater, as though they don't call it dance, they call it creative movement for those of people who are scared of dance. But those moments I really, really think back on and have loved the most when we go into dance circles or just freely explore ourselves in the room, not necessarily doing technical dance or dance numbers, obviously, but just exploring yourself freely to music is something that I go back to a lot if I'm feeling stressed or, you know, just wanting to get out of a negative mind space. So
yeah. And I find that some people are very scared because they find that they think they're going to be different when it comes to
mhm.
like acting and whatnot, because they think like acting and whatever are all separate. but moving and whatnot is definitely a part of acting.
Absolutely.
We got taught that this is a whole instrument from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And yeah, I completely agree. I don't usually dance often. It's just not what I do.
But you're a good dancer, Matthew. You move very well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So we're gonna hop into a couple more questions, and then unfortunately, it's gonna be around that time, and I'm sad. But we're okay. We're gonna be great. So, the next question that I have, is again in regards of musicals. So out of all the musicals you've seen or been in, obviously I know, excluding Grease, because I know you love Grease. What is your favorite, and why is it your favorite? I'm going to ask you in regards to one that's more tragic and one that's more comic, because we are on the Little Thespian Podcast with the
tragic and oh my god, that's a great question, Matthew. But to start, I've actually not been in that many musicals. I mean, my high school kind of took old plays and added artists' music on top. Like we did Much Ado About Nothing with Beatles music, which was cool. So we kind of made our own. So I haven't done actual I guess published musicals. The only musical I've really fully been in was Beauty and the Beast, and that was my first high school musical, and I played Chip in it. But I've seen quite a bit of musicals, and I will think about that. I think my favorite comedic one is something that I bring hold greatly to my heart, and that is none other than the Rocky Horror Picture Show. That musical I love so much, and I would love to be in that musical. Comedically, it's hilarious, and I love that type of satire, crazy humor. I think that is so cool, and the characters one thing I could be my flaw in acting is sometimes I'm over the top. Which is something I've worked on, obviously, throughout theater school. But that musical just plays in with the over-the-topness and Janet Weiss being like, oh, all the time. And that stuff makes me crack up all the time. Yeah, so I think Rocky Horror Picture Show is something I will always love. And I love going to see the shows. I mean, some of our friends have been in the production, which has been super cool to watch. And my favorite dramatic one. Give me a second. I mean, I'm thinking about Chicago, which was a show that was supposed to be, if you can call that dramatic, because there obviously is dramatic moments and comedic moments. I kind of am drawn to those shows that have more comedic moments in them than dramatic. So I if I could say Chicago has always been something really big for me. It was the first the song Roxy was the first song I ever performed live. It wasn't good. It definitely was not good. I was, I think, 12 years old singing that in our school's talent show. And I don't think I had even seen the movie, but someone just introduced the song to me, and that type of music and musical, the way the smooth jazz and sexy feeling to it is something super cool. And the tragic characters in there that lie within the whole facade of a circus and show, that is truly tragic. There's a lot of great characters in there, and again, it's playing with the idea of kind of being a little bit over the top and a little crazy, and that is something I think that I like to embody a lot in theater and stories I really like. So Chicago is definitely up there, and I was very sad when that was unfortunately canceled here in Montreal.
Yeah, I know. I really wanted to see it too.
Yeah,
it was unfortunate because there were so many amazing shows that were to come, then it got cut. But
yeah, absolutely.
And I'm I'm glad that you still got the opportunity to be part of one of your dream musicals.
Yeah,
That
no.
was great.
It
So
was definitely cool to be a part of that. Like, unfortunately, again, we didn't put it on, but Contact Theater was, even though they've been around for 2 years, after seeing Bonnie and Clyde, I wanted to work with them. I heard so many great things, obviously. And when I heard they were putting on Chicago, I was like, sign me up. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm sure they're gonna have many more musicals, and I cannot
Yeah.
wait to see you a part of them because I'm sure. And
Thank
also,
you.
definitely go and audition for Rocky Horror. They do it every year. So I
Yes.
suggest you go and do that because I'm
Oh
probably
yeah,
gonna do so as well.
absolutely. No, I wanna audition for it. I couldn't do it last year because I was still back at Abbott finishing up a couple of classes, but like when I saw it, I was like, yes, I want to be a part of this one too. So if they have it, unfortunately with coronavirus and all that stuff, whenever they put it on, I want to be I'm gonna audition. Let's just say, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I have one more question, and then unfortunately we got to set it light and we got to go.
Of course.
But no, I'm sad about that because there's so much to talk about.
I know, right?
But yeah. So, in Chicago, I would imagine you were doing a lot of dancing.
Oh yeah, oh my goodness.
And I would imagine you were singing a lot. So I want to get your expertise on how exactly you keep your voice, how exactly you keep in shape for these performances, because a lot of people unfortunately don't do musicals because they think they can't dance, can't sing, can't.
Yeah.
But usually, if you prepare for it and you do certain stuff, you can be a part of some amazing shows.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, Chicago, yes, there was a lot of dancing and a lot of singing. And if I can mention Debbie Freeman, who's the director and artistic director, or co-artistic director with Ali Broomer. She, Debbie, was the choreographer and director, and she made these insane numbers. Anyone who has had the pleasure of working with Debbie, well, I hope you do, they know that she has some like crazy choreography and it's so good. Like, she's so detailed and stuff. And it was definitely a challenge for me. I remember going to the callback dance audition and I saw everyone dancing and I was like, I did my best, I said thank you, and I walked out and I called my mom. I was like, I'm definitely not in the show. The dancers here are insane. The dance in the show that we were trying to put on was just so good and pretty hard in some ways, very, very detailed, as I said, and I was kind of struggling with it at first, but then you figure out her rhythm and such, and I think it just goes back to practice. Going back to practice, and the same thing with singing. It all takes practice. I take vocal lessons outside of, productions and such, and to work on your voice and to work on your skill. It's working on your craft, right, constantly. I feel as though I should be doing it more. I think every actor thinks that. So it's just kind of staying fit. I guess I'm not the person, I guess, to be the spokesperson to be talking about, eating healthy and getting enough sleep, because as though we want to do those things, we sometimes don't. So I would say, just practicing and continuously working hard. In my mind, if I tend to, like, if I'm having trouble with something, I like to practice it again and again until I get it. It's a thing in my head that I'm like, you have to do this until not perfection, but until I feel as though it feels right and looks right. So doing all those things, it's just a game of practice. And I think definitely having the amount of rehearsals we had, and which were so much fun, but the constant practice throughout the week, not only there but at home, really helps. And I think that's what any actor would say, is to practice and continuously work on your craft. So yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is time to go.
Oh, yes.
But I love the words of wisdom. And it is great. It's great to see you. It's been a
Oh, it's wonderful
while.
to see you.
And I wish we had more time.
Yeah.
Um, but unfortunately, I don't want to make these episodes too long because
Of
then people
course.
don't tune in for an hour, hour and a half.
Yes, of course, of course.
But it was great talking to you all about
Oh,
musicals and dance.
of course. It was
So
great talking to
here's
you,
where I'm.
Matthew.
Oh,
I
um,
miss you. I hope you're doing well.
I miss you too, and I hope you're doing well. Um, so here's where I'm gonna put in who is coming in next week.
Ooh, I'm so
So
excited.
next week we have Cloak and Dagger coming in.
Oh,
We have Courtney
awesome.
Rasmussen. I believe
Awesome.
I'm saying that properly. Rasmussen. I believe I'm saying that properly. But yes, Courtney will be on next week with Cloak and Dagger talking everything they're doing and what's yet to
That's
come.
awesome.
This will be
Good.
great.
Yeah, no, their stuff is really cool, and that another theater company who's like really taking initiative of this troubling time, and it's really cool to see that. So good for them.
So unfortunately, I'm going to shed a light and say how great Erin is. So Erin YJ is just a bundle of light, just in general. She has done so much dance, so much singing, so much amazing things that over the 3 years I've known, 4 years now that I've known her.
Warriors.
And yes, it was great to have you on. I miss you. I
Thank
love
you,
you, and I will
Matthew.
see you soon. Okay.
Pardon me? I
And
didn't hear you.
I'll see you soon, okay?
Oh, of course, of course. Have
Awesome.
a good day.
You too. So
Bye.
bye. We'll see you all in our next Little Thespian
See ya.
podcast. Bye.
Bye.
The lights are off. The curtain has fallen. And it's time to say goodbye. Thank you all for joining us on the Little Thespian Podcast. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to ask, either down below or on any of our platforms. On the next episode, we talk to Courtney Rasmussen, all things Cloak and Dagger Theater Company. It's going to be a great time. I truly cannot wait. Her and everyone at Cloak and Dagger have done amazing things during this pandemic. So, if you guys are looking forward to that episode, it's coming out fairly soon. At the end of next week, we'll be talking to Courtney, all things Cloak and Dagger. Also, if you guys have enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to us here on YouTube, and check out all our platforms down below. Also, all of YJ's stuff will be down below, so thank you all for watching, listening, and don't forget to shine bright. We will see you all on the next Little Thespian Podcast. This has been your host, Matthew Crandall, and we'll see you all on the next Little Thespian Podcast.